Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to episode 3 from the Short Story Starter. This is an exciting episode this week because I have finally got my mic working. Don't worry, I promise that will be the last time I sing. I've always been told I have a horrendous singing voice, so I will not scar you with my singing. What we're going to do in this episode is, in a few seconds, I'll remind you of last week's story writing prompt, What's in the Lab? I will then share a couple of submissions that I received, and I will then give you your next story writing prompt. I told one or two people today what I was planning to use as that prompt, and I had reactions that looked a little bit like this. Oh, someone even went, oh, okay. So hopefully that piques your interest and keeps you around towards the end of the video. What I'll do now is just give you a brief little recap of what the story writing prompt was from episode number 2, and then I will share some of the submissions. Just as a quick reminder, the story prompt that I set last week was called What's in the Lab? The premise of the story was that you were a secret agent or a spy, and you had been told to go and investigate a science facility because there were reports or suspicions that there were some animal tests going on there, that the scientists there had been merging together two animals. As you break into the facility around about midnight, you walked down towards one of the laboratories and you saw through the shattered glass window there was a cage that had been smashed open, glass everywhere, and an animal or a combination of two animals had escaped. And the idea was that you would continue the story from that story prompt. And let's get started with the first of 2 submissions. Our first submission comes from a young girl called Lidia, who is in year 4 and lives in Thailand. My favourite part of her story actually comes pretty early on. There's quite a twist towards the start of her story, which just I didn't see coming. It's fantastic. And here's what she chose to write. I look at the notes once again and notice that they have merged a fox and a dog. I take the notes and start running towards the exit. But 2 guards stop me and call their boss to say that someone broke in. Suddenly, I remembered that I mastered Kung Fu when I was 10. So in the middle of them talking, I kick their butts, faces and backs until they fall to the floor. I start running again and see the dangerous, huge creature. And it starts barking at me because it thinks that I am one of the scientists. After a few moments, I start talking to the docs and make it calm. Once the docs starts to like me, it throws me on its back and exits the building. Where are you taking me? Why? I shout confusedly. The docs did not answer and just kept running for an hour. Until we were on an island that looked deserted, until the docs howled. Loads of mixed animals came out of the bushes and started talking in English. I was so amazed that I almost fainted. Their habitat was very amazing. It had tall green palm trees, clear turquoise blue seas, and soft white sand. I felt like I was in a dream, but I saw a lot of animals that were hurt. Once I healed all of them, the animals decided to give me the magical power of health. I was very thankful, but I was still wondering where all the mixed animals came from. And why did the scientist merge a docs? Suddenly, I stopped imagining and realized I was in my normal, boring music class. Hello, Lidia. Are you in the world? Asked my music teacher silently. Our second short story comes from Nawa, who is quickly growing into a channel favourite. He has sent in a traditionally wonderful Nawa story, and here is what he did with the story prompt. As I moved forward, there were pictures and diagrams of a rhino and a tiger. When I saw the diagram, I quickly put the diagram in my old black backpack. I searched all the chests and I finally found some old binoculars, which can zoom in like a pro sniper. As I checked the floor, there was orange fur and also black fur, and also a broken, sharp horn that had obviously fallen out from a magical creature. I quickly ran out of the lab, impatiently to the city. Suddenly, I saw a homeless man lying down on the floor. I saw him suffering, so I gave him some money. In return, the homeless man gave me some special flashlights that can see invisible footprints. Happily, the flashlight was very useful to find the mysterious creature that had escaped. I ran to my car and I drove home and went to sleep. In the morning, I was trying to find a footprint, but it didn't go well. I decided to wait until night. Later that night, I was using my flashlight to find some footprints in the forest. The forest was wet, mucky, and also pretty slimy. And suddenly, a strange, unfamiliar sound came out of nowhere. So I followed the sound. But my foot was getting wet, and I didn't care about it. At last, my flashlight showed me the footprint of a tiger. It was so hard. So I went home and went to sleep. The next day, I thought that I couldn't find the animal. I opened my laptop. An idea shot into my head. I'm going to buy some cameras and put it on a tree so that I can find the creature. Oh, but I don't have enough money to buy a lot of cameras. So I started being a servant, and it went very well. 1 week later, I was so happy because I'd earned $5,000. That was enough to buy 10 cameras. Days and days passed by, and I've been placing cameras all over the forest. And one of the most scary places that I placed my camera was next to a deep, dark cave. 1 month later, after checking all the cameras, I finally found the scary creature. I saw it had walked into the dark cave, so I dashed off to get a net and some raw meat. And that night, while I was getting ready with my trap, I placed the meat and went into the tent. Suddenly, a creature showed up and ate the meat, and it got trapped in the net. Yes, let's go. I caught the creature. Finally, I called the police, and they took the mad creature to a proper cage. The end. Well, there we go. I hope you enjoyed those two submissions that I received this week. Thoroughly enjoyed reading through them. Hope you enjoyed listening to them. Okay, it is time for your next story writing prompt. I was thinking this week that we could go for how to create the world's smelliest smell. When I was growing up, George's Marvelous Medicine was one of my favourite books, and I loved the just sheer craziness of that story, with all the different things he puts into his medicine. I shared that book with my class last year, and they absolutely loved it, and I wanted to try to recreate something similar. So I'm going for the world's smelliest smell. What I thought I'd do as well, rather than just talk to you guys about it, I'm actually going to show you what I would do. So I've got a few props down here with me. Right. if I was making the world's smelliest smell, the first thing to have to go in there would absolutely have to be a bunch of garlic. Never been the biggest fan of the smell of garlic, and it's a very, very pungent smell, but that's going in. Banana peel, more specifically rotten banana peel. This one's been left out for a few days. That's going to go in. Onions. This is a massive one, isn't it? Definitely put an onion in there. If I was able to, I'd rip it open and show you, but as it is, the whole thing's going in. Cat food. I've got 4 cats, and this stuff is pretty stinky, so that's going to go in there as well. After the cat food has been put in, I would top it all up with some balsamic vinegar. I mean, actually quite a nice smell. I do like balsamic vinegar, but I would put some of that in there. What else have I got lying around? I've got some dirt, just some dirt that I've dug up from the garden. So I'd take a nice big spoonful of dirt and drop that in there. I think that stinks. It's probably got some worms and bugs in there. Oh, can't be forgetting this. It's from a full day of full day's work. That goes in there as well. And then I think what I'd probably do is just top it up with some disgusting, smelly, I don't know, rotten juice or some pond water or something. I'd put it on the stove and I'd just give it a big old stir, and I think that would probably create the world's smelliest smell. I would love to hear what you would use to create the world's smelliest smell. I'd love to see and read some of your really vivid descriptions. I mean, I just call this a sock. Would it be a pungent sock? Maybe the aroma is making your nose curl up. The rotten onions, perhaps. I mean, it is up to you guys entirely. I'd love to hear what order you would put the different things into. Maybe you don't even put it on or put it in a pot like I've done. Maybe you create it in some other way. But I would love to hear, I don't know why I'm waving this around. I would love to hear how you would create the world's smelliest smell. When you've when you've finished your submission, please send it across to theshortstorystarter@gmail.com. I've literally just thought of this. If you even wanted to go one step further and you did something like this, take a photo of it. So take a photo to go alongside your writing. I'm sorry, parents, in advance if this gets a little bit out of hand. But how cool would it be to share your writing next week as well as a picture? And I guess parents, if you wanted to get involved, why don't you do one as well? And this is not just for children, the Short Story Starter. It is for anyone. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I really look forward to seeing your submissions. See you soon.